Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing my list of my 2025 VCT breakout players. Now this will be a list compiled of 5 players from each region, I guess 6 technically, because there will be uh, Duelist, Flashes, Initiator, Smokes, and Sentinel players, as well as an IGL. 3 from each region. I'll try to include as many China players as I can, but we'll try to stick to more Americas and Americas, EMEA, and Pacific because those are the 3 regions that I know the most about. If you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of this list in the comments below, as well as let me know what your guys' breakout players will be. Now, a few caveats for this one. This will be mainly the players that I think will improve the most in my own rankings or just the general public's opinion, I guess. And I will also not be including rookies. So that includes pretty much anybody who has not gone to any kind of Masters event or global event, as well as anybody who has not played in one of the VCT international leagues. So players like Kayak won't be included in here. Um, and I mean, as well as pretty much any other rookie that you can really think of. So if you played last year, or it's a player that's made a big event before, then you should be able to be on this list. So we're gonna start in Americas, where I ended up picking DGZin. Uh, I don't think he's being talked about quite enough in terms of the general public opinion. Uh, like obviously he's not super high up in these duelist rankings for me. I am not going to spoil my ranking because I'll be doing player rankings closer to uh, like the start of the VCT season. But yeah, I think he's very, very good. When he had his stint in 2023 with Furia, I thought he was really, really good. I don't think he was like elite. Like he really just couldn't play Raze. I think that was his biggest issue. But like his opping and his just general like rifling mechanics were some of the best in Americas that year. Do I think he'll be one of the best this year? Probably not, but he'll still be very, very good and should be able to shoot up maybe into that like top half of America's duelist. I think he could very reasonably land in that kind of area. Now, there were a couple other players I considered, like Mata, who, I mean, is a rookie, so, or by my standards, so he isn't really going to be in consideration for this list, but like he's kind of one of the players that would be in there. I have him actually pretty high up compared to maybe where some people would put him. Then you could go with players like Oxy, Icy, MW Zera, who was actually the other player that I really considered. It was really between DG and MW. Obviously, I don't think MW is quite going to reach the heights that DG will, but I think he could definitely have a similar level of jump in terms of public opinion. When, I mean, like if you're like just the casual Valorant viewer, you have no idea who MW Zera is and probably just think he's just like one of these players on Furia who just kind of sucks, which would be a pretty fair expectation. But like I think last year he was a big reason why this team kind of went on their run towards the end of the season and was really good. But I ended up picking DGs in here for my duelist, and now on to my flashes player. So I really couldn't find a good player to put here. It was this one was really between Asuna and the tank, because like the other options in terms of all of your Americas flex players, you got like Zelsis, who is not going to be on this list. Nature, who I don't know, he's just not going to be good enough to really be considered for this list. Ethan's already too good to be considered for this list. Zeppa, I think, is going to go down from where he is right now in terms of the public opinion, considering his Red Bull home ground performance in terms of that public opinion. Jonah's too good. Vinny's a rookie. Rafa's a rookie. Zenum's a rookie. Gobert's a rookie. MTA, I don't think is good enough to be on this list. And then the tank, who I did mention. But I just believe in 100 Thieves as like an overall team a little bit more. Obviously, Asuna is still very established, but I think even with a player like him, there is still room to grow and to go up. Like, I don't know, he's just disgusting. So I think like Austin is kind of like a tier down from that top like group of flex players with Jonah, Ethan. and players like that around the world. I think realistically, an Austin Breakout would look like him getting into that tier, which I don't think he's currently at. Then for my scan initiator player, I picked Cowanzine, who I'm not even sure if could be considered like a breakout, but he's definitely like in contention for like comeback players of the year, where he didn't have a great year last year in terms of like stage one and on. Um, but like I don't know, like he was incredible in 2023. I think getting a better team around him here, maybe a more like solid team structure, I think could be really good for him. Now, in Americas, you have a shit ton of great initiator players where like I if I was doing rookies for this list, you could go Verno, you could go like I mean Verno's really the only one here. I mean, I guess you could go Zap as well, who I considered. But then there's some other guys like Derek. I think he had his breakout last year. I really considered picking EU. But I already thought he had his breakout last year. Maybe some people didn't, which is why I even considered him. But I just ended up going with Cowanzine just because I didn't think there were too many other great options in terms of breakouts. Obviously, Rossi had some really good games at Red Bull home ground, but I mean, he's IGLing, so I don't think he'll be consistent enough, and I don't think Cloud9's going to be good enough to really be considered in that breakout player category. So now this might be a surprise for some people, but Bang is actually going to be my pick for my America's Breakout Smokes player. Now, I know obviously he is one of the best Smokes players in Americas. It's like how high can he really go at this point? But with Bang, I think he is a very, very, very good Smokes player within Americas. I think he's one of the best in Americas. But I think this year with Sentinels, he could have a breakout to be one of those best Smokes players in the world conversation with your Charons, with your Makos, with your I mean, I don't think there's really anybody in EMEA. But like with your Psalms, like those kind of players. And yeah, I just think he can and should honestly have a breakout to that kind of level to be undoubtedly the best smokes player in Americas. Then I think I mean this one should be easy for most people honestly. Art Scene is my pick for breakout sentinel. Obviously you have players like maybe narrate that people are going to be picking. I don't think his sentinel has been that great. He's shown some nice stuff like on the he's had some nice attack rounds, some good anchoring rounds, but overall like has been pretty inconsistent on that role. Like maybe with these off-season events, you like Moose, Yay. I think Tex could even be in there. He won't be in there for most people, but I do think he should be. And then I think two guys that I really considered here are the two of the three Brazilian Sentinel players in Artscene and Havoc, who both had really good ends to last year. And I just think Artscene was ever so slightly better at the end of last year, and I do think he will be better going into 2025. So honestly, I think Artsine could take a jump into maybe like that top three of America's Sentinel players. I don't think he's going to get much higher than that, just because. I mean, I guess MIBR could be very good because they have Ospas. So, um, yeah, I just think Artsine is a sick player, and getting a better team around him should get him more attention on how good he actually is, as well as maybe having him improve and become a better player in terms of how good he is. So, yeah, just a great situation for Artsine to have a really big 2025. So now for my breakout IGL, I have Adverso, who I mean, some people might think, hey, this is a rookie. He's pretty new to tier one, but he actually played on the old Leviathan team. Let me pull up this thing on another monitor. He played on the old Leviathan team, played on Zero Zero Nation last year, and then All Knights Zero Zero Nation in 2023, and then All Knights last year in 2024. And then he's going to be picked up by Crew now to replace Melzer. And I do think that's an upgrade. Both, I mean, maybe not in the initiator slot because I think Heat was better in that role than Adverso was, but I think It's definitely an upgrade over where they were with Melzer and where they were with Klaus. I think from the games that I've watched of him, his IGLing has been pretty good, the mid rounding and stuff like that. I think it's one of the better like South American ones that obviously isn't Sadak. Um, so yeah, I think he should be very good here. I also considered like Noswer because he's playing with a great team alongside Ospas. Maybe having that kind of core around him will be very good. And he was pretty good at the end of last year. But I think Adverso has less expectation going into this year. So I think it'll be more of a breakout if he does do well, like I think he might. So now onto EMEA, where we're going to start with Purpo as my duelist. Now, in EMEA, there are not really many options for this breakout player. Like you have Durka and Miniboo kind of towards the top. I mean, you're not going to say either of those guys are going to break out really. Um, you could pick Martine because Kayak and Koala Noob are both rookies. Uh, but like you have, okay, actually, we'll go through all the rookies at Duelist for EMEA because there are a lot of them. You have Koala, Kayak, Zeus, Loon, Filu, Floor, and Click. So that's 7 out of your 12 options. And then you have to go down to the bottom of these lists with Purpo, Camo, players like that who to be your breakout player. And I have a little bit more faith in Giants and Purpo to kind of play a lot better than they did last year. I guess you could say Martine, but I don't have a ton of faith that Carmine Core is going to be that great. And also I don't know. Out of like the mechanically gifted players, like I wouldn't say Martine's one of the more mechanically gifted duelists. I think a lot of his stuff is just being like intelligent, kind of like Mini Boo. Uh, like I Martine's main thing isn't the mechanics; it's the flexibility with him. I think, and I think Purple has some of that, but I think he has more mechanical skill than even Martine does, and I think he has that higher ceiling that maybe like I don't know. It could give this team more upside, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Like I was gonna say, like Sideshow was saying with like him, like them being like his underdog candidate. But yeah, I don't know. Just not a ton of options here, and I think Purpo was probably the best one. Now into my flashes role, which I think had a lot more to pick from. I'm gonna pick Kicks. Um, you could go with a bunch of different players here, like maybe Patty Tech on a full role now in a team or something like that. Soulcast, Rax, if you still believe in him, which I don't personally. I think Runner is actually a candidate for this award. But I think I'm going to go with Kicks for this one, just because his performance at the end of last year was actually really good. I think he went really under the radar with how well he played, specifically at Champs. He was like statistically maybe their best player, or maybe it was just in the one game that he played really, really well. I guess yeah, he didn't play well against Trace, but the other games against against Talon and Leviathan, I think he played really well. So I think if he continues that momentum into next year, he should be very good on a Vitality team that also, I mean, just strictly looking at their roster with Durka, Kicks, Trex, Safe, and Less, should be very, very good. I think he should be one of the candidates to be one of the highest risers in all of EMEA, just in terms of where you think they are at the beginning of the year and then where you end up thinking about them at the end of the year. Now, maybe Trex here for my like scan initiator pick is gonna make some people upset because like obviously maybe the people watching these videos are gonna expect Trex to be really good. Um, but honestly, a lot of people like in the wider scene don't really talk about him as like one of the best initiators in all of EMEA, which I think he is. So I think he'll get into that conversation and even probably go up into maybe that like Rien's conversation kind of thing and be like right there with him, which I think he definitely can be. This is less of a like maybe rising from the 10th, 11th best player at their respective role to like fifth or sixth, like most of the other ones are. This is more of like a top 5 player going up to like top 1 or 2 at his role in his region. Obviously, maybe I don't think he's going to get ahead of Leo, but I think he could definitely get ahead of Rien's depending on how Heretics play and how Vitality play comparatively. Yeah, he's just a sick player across the board. Just, I mean, I think he in the past has had some issues in terms of his level of aggression and like just decision making not being too great, specifically when he was back on Koi. But that team was really bad, so you could argue that maybe he was checked out a little bit. And then once he got onto Vitality and started really playing that like full like fade Sova every map kind of stuff, he was so unbelievably good. So I don't know. I think Trex is really good. I think he'll have a great year and kind of put him in that conversation for one of the best initiators in the world. Now, I know we just talked about how like most of these players are going to be players that kind of end up in that like 5th, 6th range, kind of break out as like good players. I thought Cadavra last year was very good, and honestly, this year is going to end up being one of the better smokes players in all of EMEA. Strictly because I don't think EMEA has that many great smokes players. Like you have players like Sagetsu, Safe, who are great players. Tamazi, I guess Tamazi. No, Tamazi did play like Senti last year, but like switching over to this smokes role that I think they could be very good at, but they're not very proven on it. So I think Cadaver here could potentially have a breakout season, being more experienced on the smokes role than most other players. I mean, maybe not most other players, but like there's let's see how many players. One, two, wait, two, three, four. 4 players are swapping over to smokes full time from other roles. Which I mean, now that I say it that way, it doesn't sound that crazy, but it is. That is quite a few players. So I don't know. I think Cadavra could have a quite better year than some of these players like Sagetsu Safe. He's definitely a safer pick, honestly, just with how he played statistically last year. Like if you look at the top frag in this game, second frag in this game, they got destroyed. I mean, how the hell are they all negative? It's just they squeezed out Icebox in this game. But like he was probably their best player in stage two, uh, Gentlemates. And now I don't think Gentlemates will be very good this year either, but I think Cadaver will be the standout player on that team and should prove himself to be one of the best smokes players in EMEA, and hopefully will save himself a slot in 2026 when Gentlemates are inevitably relegated. And then I think another pretty obvious answer for the Sentinel player, we have Elite. Um, I guess maybe not obvious for the other ones, but like a player that is very known to be very, very good, um, is going to be on a much better team this year. Even though I don't think Carmine Core is maybe quite as good as the name value on a lot of these players, I still do think Elite will have a great year and prove himself to, I know this sounds stupid, but to be one of the elite players in EMEA uh, in terms of the Sentinel role. Like, I think he can, and probably this year will, get up to the tier with less Alpha Benji. Like, I think that's the conversations that we could be talking about Elite in towards the end of the season. Obviously, he's not there yet, but when we get through the season, when he starts playing more with this Carmine Core team, when this team starts getting more time together, I think he will prove to be that caliber of player, which I know was really high praise. Maybe not in that tier, but maybe he'll be the tier below, but separate himself from everybody else. So like he'll be in a tier of his own underneath the less alpha benchy, which I mean is still extremely high praise. That's probably a top 5 Sentinel player in the world, if not like just outside of it. Yeah, I think he'll be very very good, and I think it'll really help his stock if Carmine Core end up qualifying for any of the international events. And then onto our last region here, Pacific. We have the duelist player. I think if you have been following my channel, you know this is gonna be May. Uh, I think some people might. I mean, like with my past takes, I think I could very much argue for depth. I think he was the other guy in here. I think 99% of people are going to pick May or not pick May, pick Primi for this, like, I guess, award. I just, man, Primi's good, but man, is he like hyped to the level that I don't really see it yet with him. Obviously, he is a very good player and can be very, very good. I just am not quite there yet with him. I think May has shown more in terms of a ceiling and in terms of where he is right now, in terms of the decision making. He's also an incredible neon player. Uh, I think his jet is also very, very good. His raise, I don't think, I mean, we haven't seen a ton of. I guess last year we did see it quite a bit on Ascent. So I don't know. Like, he's just a super well-rounded duelist player. If he can add Yoru into his arsenal, I think he'll be even better. But yeah, he's just sick. I think. I mean, if you follow my channel, I've been pretty high on May, consistently since the beginning of last year. Obviously, I wasn't like super high on him because he was playing for DFM, and I didn't think the team was going to be very good. I was correct about that, as 99.9% of people were. Um, but yeah, just uh gonna be one of the best duelists in the Pacific, top five. I think he could even break into that top three, which is very, very high praise for him. So yeah, just an incredible player. So for my flashes player and for my breakout IGL, I ended up picking Cruz. I really didn't have anybody else I could pick. Like, everybody that isn't a rookie is already at the top of my list for flashes players. So I think this year Cruz will have a very good year individually. Maybe not like an elite year, but like for an IGL, I think he'll be a very, very good individual, as well as with talent kind of continuing to grow and get more experience altogether. I think he'll prove to be a very good IGL, especially on this flashes role, playing like a bunch of breach and a bunch of KO, which I think probably is his best role. Like, obviously he can play a little bit of the smokes when it's needed for Talon. Like, if he needs to play like an Omen or an Astra in these like double smokes comps that a lot of teams are running, or maybe like a Viper or something like that, he can definitely do that. So I think he'll be a very good piece for Talon and a big reason why they succeed this year, if they end up succeeding, obviously. So now onto my scan initiator player. I'm going to be picking Governor, mainly because, I mean, I've been super high on Governor for like all of last year. I thought his duelist play was insane. And I kind of think them taking him off of duelist was a little bit of a mistake. This was even before Primi came in, so I think I'm more fine with it now that Primi's in the team. But on Neon maps, I think he'll probably be playing that role, which he is very good at, as well as the Sova, that when he's played it in these couple games with in these off-season tournaments that Talon's played, I think it's looked really good, specifically when it was on Abyss, I think. Or actually, no, dude, when it was on Ascent, bro. Would they play on Ascent? I think it was DRX. Oh my god, dude, this map was amazing. Just by the whole team, really. But Governor looked amazing in that map. So he'll be my breakout player um for the scan initiator role. The other guy that I considered was Izu, but he hasn't been consistent enough, and I haven't seen really enough from him to kind of prove that he should be in here. Some other guys, like pretty much everybody else that I would pick here is a rookie. So I mean, technically a rookie. Like, the other guy would be like Yeoman, who's had some experience but hasn't ever played in an international VCT league. So he is technically considered a rookie by my terms. So I'm gonna pick Governor, but I do actually feel pretty good about this. I felt less good before I started recording this part, and now I feel more good actually having talked about Governor and whatnot. Again, the smokes roll for Pacific was a little bit tough to pick because there's so many good rookies that it's kind of hard to not pick them. But I ended up picking Monye, who I think if RRQ ends up being a good team and kind of living up to their potential as a team, could be kind of considered in that elite level smokes player with Charon and Mako, kind of similar to like the conversation that I had about Bang with Sentinels. So I mean, he was incredible for GE playing like just smokes in 2023. Swapped over to Paper X, looked kind of shaky at the start, kind of got better towards the end when he was able to play more smokes and got more comfortable on the raise. for that team. Hopefully for RRQ, he's just playing smokes. I know he played quite a bit of neon last year, and it looked pretty good, honestly. I just don't know if it's gonna be the best thing for this team. Like, I think they would be much better off strictly playing him on smokes instead of playing him on like half duelists like this. Um, like, I don't get what the point of playing him on raises. Like, we know it's not super high level, and we know the smokes is. So I don't know. Hopefully, they end up putting him on full time smokes. They learn their lesson and kind of let him show off his super high level skill that he has on that role that maybe he hasn't gotten to fully show yet, playing for GE and then not playing the role at all for his two other teams. So our last player in this whole video is going to be Foxy9 for the Sentinel role, uh, playing for Genji. I mean, I think this is a pretty easy pick. I think you could have picked maybe Ban or Zephyro or something. Maybe flashback now that he's going to be playing more Sentinel. I still have freeing on my spreadsheet. I need to change that. But yeah, I just think Foxy's sick on the Sentinel role. I don't think he's like Meteor level or like top Sentinel player in Pacific yet, but I think having a year of development with HSK, I believe is the Genji coach's name. I should probably know that. Yeah, with Solo and HSK, I think having a year of development with them, as well as being a super highly mechanically gifted player and showing a lot when he played Sentinel for DRX. Not as much when he played like Flex and Duelist, but when he played the Sentinel, he was very good. And I think if they keep him on this mainly Killjoy Cypher Yoru role, like Meteor was playing last year, I think Foxy should be able to show quite a bit and be a really, really good player for Gen G. So, with that, that'll be my video on my breakout players for 2025. I'll just go through the list again. I had DGZin, I believe. I changed some of these throughout. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Oopsies. Um, yeah, DGZin, Asuna, Cowanzine, Bang, Artzine, Noswer, Purpo, Kicks, Trex, Cadavra, Elite, Flya. I changed Flya. Fuck. I changed Flya to Yampi. I had them all written down and then I changed them halfway through some of them. Then I had May, Cruz, Izu, Moniette, and then Cruz again for my IGL. So I think I did a decent job. Let me know if you guys think there's other players that will break out. I think I did a pretty good job of like going through a lot of the players, even the players that I like didn't actually pick, like players like I guess Depp, Primi for the duelist role, players like I think I mentioned Envy for flashes and Pacific, but that's just a couple. Like I think I did a good job of going through every player that could be considered for this. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, leave a like, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.